clearly recall the email that landed in my inbox. It was from a woman I didn't know, and yet she poured her heart out to me. Over 3 pages, she wrote about her pain, grief, and regret from her abortions. In her message, she pointedly criticized me for displaying abortion imagery. She wrote,
"Why add to my pain and others like me who are just holding on by a thread, trying to function and forgive ourselves? Why take the chance of having suicide on your conscience and blood on your hands? Because you will. You may not know it, but anyone who kills themselves because of those pictures, their blood will be on your hands."
Those are strong words, but are they true? Consider this email that we received from a woman who saw our abortion images at abortionno.org.
I had an abortion 5 years ago. It haunts me every day. I wish I could go back. If I had any idea what the horrific process of abortion really meant for the baby inside me, I would never have done it. Please share with young women the realities of abortion. You can make a difference in someone's life.
So here we have 2 women, both who've had abortions, and yet one despises the images and another asks us to use them. So what explains the difference? Where a woman is on the road to recovery. If someone is not fully healed, if she is blame-shifting, she's going to lash out at any reminder of something that she's desperately trying to suppress. In fact, the woman who complained about our pictures only wrote about her first abortion. She didn't explain about her second one, as she said,
"I have not begun to deal with that one yet."
We don't eliminate our guilt by suppressing it. We eliminate it by releasing it in a very painful process of taking ownership of our mistakes. That's what they do at Alcoholics Anonymous, and through that program, people learn the road to recovery is difficult. Just look at the 12 steps.
We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs, made a list of all persons we had harmed, and became willing to make amends to them all.
And so it is with abortion. True healing comes after going through the gut-wrenching process of admitting the mistake of abortion and one's personal role in that. Until we get to that place of healing, one risks doing further harm. Consider that in Alberta, 40% of abortions are repeats. In the United States, 50% are. The pain from seeing an abortion is not the same as the pain that comes from having a second abortion, dealing with 2 deaths instead of 1. Nor is it the same as the pain that comes from encouraging other women to abort. There's a saying that says, "Misery loves company." And some unhealed post-abortive women may deal with their abortions by encouraging other women to abort. It's a way of rationalizing with oneself that what one did maybe wasn't so bad. It is therefore imperative that women be healed from their abortions sooner rather than later. Pictures begin that process. Now, will that be a painful process? Yes, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Pain can serve an important purpose. If you place your hand on a hot burner, you will feel intense pain. That's good. It tells you to take your hand off the burner. Without that unpleasant feeling, you don't remove your hand and destroy it. Consider Gabby Gingras. She has a very rare condition where she cannot feel pain. Anyone who's experienced a lot of pain might be initially jealous of her, but that envy would quickly dissipate when one learns that Gabby's inability to feel pain resulted in her chewing her tongue like it was bubblegum and biting her fingers until they bled. As a baby, Gabby also poked at her eyes, and poked, and she never felt pain to tell her to stop, and a severe infection resulted. One of her eyeballs had to be removed. That's why her parents now make her wear goggles to protect her last eye. From Gabby's story, we learn that an inability to feel pain results in self-destructive behavior. And so it is with an unhealed post-abortive woman. The pain she instinctively feels can be so great that she numbs herself to it. She avoids it or suppresses it or denies it. But that can lead to unhealthy things like self-destructive behavior, such as drug or alcohol addiction or abusive relationships, or as I mentioned, subsequent abortions. And so we have to restore a healthy sense of pain to the act of abortion. Some people will say that abortion imagery is traumatic. Actually, when we understand what abortion does, we realize abortion is traumatic. The images are simply a trigger, and lots of things can trigger a post-abortive woman's trauma of abortion. Seeing pregnant women or babies, or remembering the date one's child should have been born on, these can trigger a woman's trauma of abortion. A man once told us that his ex-girlfriend aborted 2 of his children. She loved dogs, so that every time he sees dogs now, they trigger that trauma for him. A counselor once told me that after a woman had an abortion, she went home and her boyfriend played the piano while she napped. Although she was a talented player herself, she soon afterwards sold her piano and stopped playing. Why? Because the instrument became a trigger of her abortion trauma. Would we blame an infant if she triggered a post-abortive woman's trauma of abortion and that woman committed suicide? Of course not. Neither should we blame abortion imagery if those trigger a post-abortive woman's trauma of abortion. The healthy response to triggers is not to suppress them or avoid them, but instead to learn to handle them. And that's the good news when it comes to abortion trauma. It can be overcome. This is where healing groups such as Project Rachel, Rachel's Vineyard, or Silent No More Awareness are vital to the pro-life cause. They walk alongside the wounded and help them find healing. Their pastoral approach works in tandem with our educational approach. Consider Dr. Alveda King, the niece of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
My uncle knew that the ugly reality of segregation had to be seen visually by the American public. He therefore organized events at which the eyes of the media could broadcast the way our people were treated when water hoses and dogs were unleashed on their peaceful marches. People responded to those images, not simply to abstract concepts of segregation and equality. Likewise, people, and especially African Americans, respond to the disturbing images of aborted children. Sure, some people get angry when we show them, but everyone who fights injustice has to be ready to pay a price. My uncle did, and so did my dad. So does everyone who has the courage to show the ugly reality of abortion. Don't be afraid to do so. Many people are grateful. As a woman who has had 2 abortions, I am grateful that the truth is being shown so that others can avoid this pain in the first place.
Pictures are not the cause of a post-abortive woman's pain. Abortion is. The pictures merely bring to the surface the pain that is already there. And so, if people avoid using the pictures to spare a woman guilt, what they actually do is spare her healing. We need to show the truth of abortion, not only to save children from death, but in order to provide the impetus for women in pain to seek help.